Hello my dear friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joy and today in this lecture we will be discussing about the World Bank projections on India's economic growth. So recently the World Bank has given its projections about the economic growth of India in the coming financial year 2019-20, that is the ongoing financial year. So the World Bank has also commented that India will retain its position as the fastest growing economy. So let us discuss this in detail in this lecture. This is a very important topic for your UPSC examination, both from your preliminary as well as your mains examination point of view. From your prelims exam point of view, such type of statements are very important, especially when it is given by international organizations like the World Bank, IMF, other important international groupings, etc. And for your mains examination, such type of projections or any reports published by international organizations becomes very important. You can add value to your answer by quoting these type of examples. Now, since this projection has been given by the World Bank, this is important for other examinations like RBI, IBPS, banking examination, SEBI, NABARD and other competitive examination. So we will be discussing about this in detail in this lecture. But before we begin, this is our channel StudyIQ and we are providing pen drive courses for various competitive examinations including SSC and bank courses, UPSC optionals, SSC JEE courses, teaching examination, railway examination, defense examination, RBI grade B, NABARD grade A, UGC NET, UPSC Civil Services Examination, CLAT exams for various state PSCs and also for various professional courses. You can visit our website www.studyiq.com for more details, or you can call to any of these numbers for more information. So let us start. Let us first understand what is the current affair. So as I said in the beginning, the World Bank has projected that the economic growth of India in the financial year 2019-20 is expected to be 7.5%. It also commented that India will retain its fastest growing economy title. So with this 7.5% of growth rate, India will retain. That means already India is the fastest growing economy. Now India is going to retain this title of fastest growing economy. Now, what is the difference between economic growth and economic development? Now, the World Bank projections are regarding economic growth. So, economic growth is a quantitative term, whereas economic development is qualitative. So, economic growth can be measured in terms of GDP because this is quantitative. So, any improvement or increase in the GDP of the country will result in better economic growth. So economic growth is quantitative, which can be measured in terms of GDP or gross domestic product. So what is GDP? GDP of an economy, the sum total or the monetary value of all the goods and services produced in an economy within a financial year. So this is the monetary value of all the final goods and services produced in an economy in a financial year. Now this amounts to economic growth. Now, economic development, it is a qualitative term. Now, qualitative term means that along with quantity, that is along with GDP, what is important here? Economic growth, that is in terms of GDP plus development, that is social indicators. For example, education, health, environment, all this becomes important, and only when there is an improvement in social indicators like health, education, environment, etc., along with we can term it as qualitative growth, which is referred as economic development. Now let me tell you the reason why I am giving more focus on such type of terms and concepts is because if you look at the UPSC preliminary examination paper this year, you will understand that it was more of a conceptual paper. So the number of facts asked in this year's paper was very less. So now the competitive examinations, especially the UPSC, they are aiming more at the conceptual clarity of the candidate. So even if you mug up all the facts to be able to clear this exam, you should have a thorough understanding of the concepts. So that is what is tested in the UPSC examinations. So it is very important that you be aware of the concepts. Now this is the current affair. Let us move on. Let us understand what are the engines of economic growth as indicated by the World Bank. So World Bank says that in the upcoming next 3 years, The engines of economic growth for India would be investment and private consumption. Now, if we look at the structure of Indian economy, we have a huge population. So this population will spend on consumption expenditure. So private consumption becomes a key engine of economic growth in India. This is because the private consumption can boost the demand in the economy, and by improving the demand in the economy, the supply will also improve in order to meet the demand. So when demand increases, the supply increases. So when supply increases, it means that the output of the economy increases. And we have already discussed that GDP is the indicator of economic growth, which is measured in terms of output from an economy. So this will directly contribute towards increase in the GDP and thereby economic growth. Now coming to investment. Investment will help in improving our economic growth because this will increase the productive capacity of the economy. So by investing in technology, by investing in infrastructure, the output or the productive capacity of an economy increases. Thereby, the GDP also improves. So these are the key engines of economic growth for India as discussed by the World Bank. Now moving on to global economic prospects. So this is a report released by the World Bank, and according to the global economic prospects, in 2018-19, the growth rate, that is the economic growth rate expected in India is 7.2%. And World Bank suggests that there had been a slowdown in government consumption. But this slowdown in government consumption was offset by investment and public infrastructural spending. So it is expected that the growth rate for 2018-19 financial year could be 7.2%. Now let us come to China. According to World Bank, in 2018, the growth rate of China would be 6.6%. So the growth rate is much slower than that of India. In India, it is expected to be 7.2%. So in China, 2018, it is expected to be 6.6%. And according to World Bank report, the growth rate in China is expected to even further slow down in the upcoming years. So in 2019, it is expected to come down to 6.2%. In 2020, it is expected to come down to 6.1%. In 2021, it is expected to be 6%. So World Bank forecast a growth slowdown in China, whereas in India, it is expected that the growth will continue and India will retain the position of being the fastest growing economy or fastest growing emerging economy. Now we have seen in the previous slide that according to World Bank projections for the upcoming 3 years, that is 2019 to 21, India is going to retain its growth rate of 7.5%. Now in 2021, it is expected that China's growth rate is 6%. So it means that in 2021, India would have a growth rate 1.5% higher than that of China's economic growth rate. So India will retain its position of being the fastest growing emerging economy in the world. Now let us come to the factors. So these are the factors that will help India to retain its position as the fastest growing emerging economy and to keep up the growth momentum. The first one is private consumption and investment. So private consumption and investment, as we have already discussed, this will help in enabling or improving the demand and thereby the supply will increase. Now what has to be done in order to better equip private consumption and investment? And for that, there should be a robust credit growth in the economy. So credit growth here means that the banks and the financial institutions must provide formal sources of credit to private sector. So with credit growth and also accommodative monetary policy. Monetary policy is taken by the RBI. The Monetary Policy Committee takes up the monetary policy decisions. So this is largely related to the interest rates. So monetary policy means increase or decrease in the interest rates by considering the rate of inflation in the economy. So the monetary policy should be enabling. It means that it should provide for an interest rate which will help in enhancing the credit growth in the economy. So credit growth plus monetary policy interventions or accommodative monetary policy will help boosting the private consumption and private investment. So this will largely help in improving the demand, thereby increasing the supply in the economy. Now, second factor is the inflation. Now, according to World Bank, the inflation rates in Indian economy is even below the target. So, target here means that inflation targeting. The government, that is the central government along with RBI, has targeted for a particular range of inflation within which the inflation rates should be contained. So we were able to achieve the targets and we were even able to go below the target. So considering this, there can be a scope for improving the credit growth in the economy, and RBI is also going to take a enabling monetary policy which will bring down the interest rates because the inflation rates are low in the economy. So this will also help in improving the economic growth in the economy. Now next one is fiscal consolidation. This is because of the political stability at the central level. Now we know that after the new government formed, the previous government or the previous political party itself is continuing in the power. So there is lesser chances that the policy decisions can extremely change. And also it is expected that the policies of the previous government will continue. So this will give a political stability economy. So this also will help in improving the economic growth by achieving a fiscal consolidation. Now, if we come to household consumption, which is a key factor in determining the demand in the economy and thereby economic growth. Now, consumption in the credit growth. In the rural areas, agricultural price household consumption. If the farmers get less prices for their produce or competitive prices for their produce, it is demand, and then the household consumption in the rural areas will improve. So these are the factors that can contribute towards economic growth in the Indian economy. Now, World Bank also says that India will sector. 3 of these sectors will contribute towards economic growth. So it means that the growth will not be concentrated in one of the sectors, but all the sectors would be contributing. Even the primary sector contribute towards economic growth. The World Bank. So these are the projections of World Bank regarding India's economic growth in the upcoming years and in the present financial year. You can find the PDF of this lecture on our website www.studyiq.com. Follow my Facebook page for video updates. You can write to me at joyshi.study for any of your queries and suggestions. Thank you.